But all of this starts with the coming as a baby. Um, yeah, it is powerful and just proper that he did. And I think the way to understand that is not to science it out and compare it to all the other options, but just to observe it. Observe the story as written by our God and say, yeah, that works. That works better than anything I would have come up with. And there's a special way it can be fitting for our own modern world because of all the babies we've killed, whether by abortion the conventional way or the contraceptive way. We have really, I mean, besides the obvious fact of just how many murders have taken place, and
Yeah.
of the most innocent of people as a result, the horror of which cannot be overstated. Um, there's also just the effect of how much that numbs our senses to the dignity of life as a
Anyone's
society.
life.
So, and even if
Which
you've
is
never engaged in in that heinous behavior, it still trickles down.
even
It still trickles
it.
down to you.
This is the other form of sort of fittingness, is that it is fitting that our senses are dulled and our belief in the sacredness of human life is lessened. First, with probably the worst crime against humanity that has ever been committed. What can be worse than tearing apart a human infant in the womb? Even chopping up little
Yeah.
kids on an operating table, I'll give that the second worst. That's still not as bad as ripping their bodies apart in the womb. Of what that does to the one who does it. Now, the chopping up a child, the chopping up 12-year-olds, what I will give that is that changes the trajectory of that child's soul, potentially. That is the only case in which that could possibly be worse. But still, in that level of an affront to that much innocence. I've held 3 newborn babies in my arms. And if anybody dared to suggest that I do anything other than love them, hug them, kiss them, and shower them with love, affection, everything that I can possibly give them,
Mhm.
on a good day you'll be asked to leave.
It's just not, for all the reasons, right? It's not acceptable.
I have held those children, and if you have never held a newborn baby in your arms, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But one day you might, and you will understand if you ever hold your own child in your arms. And that was one of the things I thought when I held my oldest in my arms for the first time. It was that there are people who think that this is not a person. And there are people who would be perfectly okay with chopping her up and tossing her in a dumpster. I have never felt such fury because no one will ever lay a hand on my children. Not while I'm breathing.
Well, even if the thoughts that we have don't fall to that extent, and praise God, how often do we how often do we think of babies as burdens? How often do we
Yeah.
think of having a child as just a burden? Which it is, but you're a burden too, like we all
But
are.
we even have this with this, oh, I'm child free. I'm free because I don't have children. I can do things because I don't have children. I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, that is your
No, you
greatest
are
loss.
childless. You are less because you have actively chosen to never have children. I'm going to say it, and I'll say it to your face. You are less because of that. And I dare you to look in the eyes of people who desire children more than anything else in the world and are unable to have them and say, you know what, you're better off anyway. Now you can go to Disneyland by yourself. I dare you to tell those people that. Maybe you can have some perspective now. The
Yeah, maybe.
waiting list for adopting an infant is a mile long.
Go help
Go
make it
find
shorter.
go find everybody on that list and tell them that you have deliberately chosen not to have children because they're a burden or because you want to have your experiences. Guess what? When you're 37 and are about that far from not being able to have them anymore, you're going to start feeling it.
Turns out that's kind of what it was all for,
There's a good
and you
line
missed
that
it.
comes from one of my favorite old shows, the Danny Thomas show. His oldest daughter is about to get married, and her fiance is having doubts. And this is before they get married. He hasn't proposed yet. It's clear that he wants to, but he just hasn't yet. He's taking his sweet time.
Hmm.
And then the uncle shows up, this big cedar of Lebanon. This wonderful, loud, boisterous Lebanese man shows up.
Hmm.
And he meets this boyfriend. And he says, "How many brothers you got?" "Well, it's just me." "You mean from your mother and father is only you? What a waste of people." And
If
of
I
course,
could,
because he's the head of the family and he's the marriage broker, he has brought a suitor with him who is a young man named Salim, who is twice as wide as he is tall, basically made of muscle and almost no brains. Very sweet,
wonderful.
but just this big Arabian farm boy.
That line though, if I could package that and broadcast that in every corporate office in America, I would.
"You mean from your mother and father there is only you? What a waste of people."
Yeah, and maybe the world would change just a little bit. But
That's just a fantastic way of looking at it. The joke is supposed to be played off as like, oh, he's old world and we don't do that sort of thing anymore.
hmm
But when you come at it from our understanding, it's even funnier because he's right. That is a terrible waste of people
it is.
to
And
deliberately
again,
just have one child.
people could counter that with, well, babies are a burden, and they are. They're
Yeah.
expensive. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make for them. But you were put on this earth not for comfort, but for greatness. You were put on this earth not to have all of the experiences and all the fun times and all the vacations. You were put on this earth to die. To yourself, for yourself and others.
And even,
So you need practice with that.
yeah, even as,
And you and I are not good at doing that for ourselves. We can make a ton of excuses for why we
yes,
wouldn't do that for ourselves. Because, selfishness actually doesn't help you in that setting.
yeah, it takes
But who would you?
significant spiritual fortitude to impose that level of mortification on yourself
Yeah. But I tell you what'll help is having a baby. Because you will not serve yourself
after you're married.
as
Let's
much as
clarify that. Get married first.
yes, get married first. But you will not serve yourself as much as you ought. But you will serve that baby as much as you want to. Because you will recognize that far easier. And in so doing, that is how you serve yourself. It is in giving that is receive. It is in, yeah. So that's something I wish everybody else understood.
And
And thus it is fitting that Christ came as a baby whom we would serve in such a fashion.
I will say this, as frustrating as children are, I'll use my daughter as an example. As irritating as it is when she doesn't listen, when she snaps back with an attitude because she's 3 and she's figured out how to do that now.
hmm
As painful as it is when my little boy pile drives himself into me, he beats the snot out of me almost every night. There is nothing that matches the look in a child's eye for joy. The moments when my daughter just comes up to me, or when I came home from work today, my wife could not hold my daughter back.
Hmm.
She threw the door open and ran barefoot out to me. And when I come through the door, I see a look in my son's eyes that he's back. Daddy's home. And there is nothing that can surpass that.
No.
As bad as all the other stuff is, as bad as the frustration is, and the irritation, and the pain, those moments, they say it makes it all worth it. Those moments would be worth 10 times the frustration and irritation and pain that I go through.
I bet.
Actually, they're worth infinitely more than what I go through. Or the times when I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and my daughter comes up to me and puts her arm around me and kisses me and says, "I love you, Daddy," and then walks away. Nothing makes your heart feel like it'll burst more than that. But anyway, that's enough about babies because I'm going to start crying if we talk anymore. And that's unsightly to do on a podcast.
I don't know about unsightly, but we'll spare you and your bread and talk about
It's at least unbecoming.
and go back to
Unbecoming of a
talking
man
about
wearing suspenders.
again debatable at best. But